So now that Zack Snyder's Justice League is finally released, it's time for me to do a ranking of every single DCEU movie from worst to best. Keep in mind, these are all just my opinion of what I think of these movies. You may agree, you may think differently, but that doesn't matter. It's just opinions. But let's just get right into the video. Coming in as the very worst DCEU movie is Suicide Squad. Now, the problem with Suicide Squad is that everything interesting, everything that is cool that would make the movie interesting happens in the first 30 minutes. Then after that, you just get an hour of people walking around the city just doing nothing. Like, they don't do anything in this movie. The only characters that you're really supposed to care about are Harley Quinn and Deadshot. Like, their performances are good, but like I said, this movie is just so crushingly boring. It's so hard to sit through and just watch. And then by the end, you're just like, bro, what the heck happened? Like, everything that, a movie has a basic structure: first act, second act, third act. But all three of those acts feel like it goes from, the movie feels like it's structured from third act, first act, second act. Like, it's so, like, everything climactic that you expect to happen in the end happens in the beginning. And it just makes this movie so boring. That's why it's at number 11. At number 10, I have Birds of Prey. Now, Birds of Prey, to me, it's just pretty forgettable and whatever. Like, I never really liked Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn all that much. I mean, I don't hate her, but I think she's kind of overrated. This movie, I don't know, it's just kind of lame. Like, you don't, like, it is funny. This movie did genuinely make me laugh at certain points, but the movie, I don't really know why you need to watch it. They just did it because people like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn so much. The other Birds of Prey, they're all just kind of lame except Huntress. I like Huntress. She's cool. But people say Black Mass is like one of the best villains. Which, like, yeah, he's okay. He's just kind of funny and goofy, and I guess that's why some people like him. Or maybe just because it's Ewan McGregor. But Birds of Prey, it's supposed to be this thing of her like finding herself after dealing with the breakup of Joker. It's like, man, I don't see that. This movie's just kind of goofy and silly, and I mean, it's not horrible, but I don't know. You can tell it's at number 10. At number 9, we have Joss Whedon's Justice League, or as most people like to call it, Justice League. Now, let me just get this out the way. This movie is enjoyable at times. Some of the comedy actually does land, and I do like a few of the subplots that he made. But this movie, it's just so if you get what I mean. Like, it's just so lame. Like, you have this huge cast of characters, like fan favorite characters, and then you just kind of do whatever with them. Like, this movie's just kind of lame. Like, it doesn't have enough time, and like it feels more like a Marvel movie. Like, it feels like I'm watching Age of Ultron with DC characters, and just it's so out of tone coming after BVS and Man of Steel. And all the stuff that happened behind the scenes with the crew and Jaws, and it makes it really hard for me to like this movie, because I'm just like, I don't know, do I really want to support this guy and like his movie? I mean, nah, it's just kind of weird. Like, this movie's so just whatever. Like, they rewrote so much of Zack Snyder's stuff. They just used his daughter dying as a chance to just use their movie and not use Zack's movie, and then they just hire this guy after the director just lost his child to come in and rewrite his creation. It's really messed up, man. At number 8, I have Aquaman. Aquaman's main problem, say right off the bat, it's that it's boring. Aquaman is super boring. And I always thought that when I watched it, I was like, I'll like it more. I'll give it another chance. But no, it's still boring. I don't like this movie because it's so boring. The characters are actually interesting. Their stories are interesting, except Orm. He's kind of weird. Um, the characters, they interact with each other well and they're funny, but it's just boring. When I watch this movie, I yawn. The plot is really generic. They don't go into depth about why Orm hates Aquaman, they don't even show the relationship Orm had with their mother. This movie is really boring, and the costume is so goofy and dumb. But it's something you can put on to fall asleep to if you just want something in the back. And if you just want a really cheap laugh, the movie doesn't have to be good to make you laugh. But Aquaman, I always thought I could give you a second chance, but they're number 8.
Number 7, I have Wonder Woman 84. Now, if you remember back in my review, I did say I enjoyed this one more, but it isn't better. This one, it's more rewatchable than the first one, but this one, it's just not as good. I mean, yeah, I like it more, which that's just my personal preference. But if I have to look at it objectively, this movie just isn't as groundbreaking as the first one. Like it's a lot more goofy and silly. Maxwell Lord, he's really good villain. He's one of the best DC villains, portrayed perfectly by Pedro Pascal. But this movie, it's okay. That's all it is. It's another story about Diana just learning to live with her loss. Um, and that's fine and all, but this movie, it just kind of doesn't. It's really not needed because it's set before the events of BVS or Man of Steel. So it's really just not needed. It's a perfectly fine movie, but like I said, it's really not needed. You can totally skip this one and not miss a beat. It's not horrible. It's not horrible. I actually like the movie a lot, but objectively, it does have a lot of flaws.
At number 6, I have Shazam. Shazam is really unique in terms of the DCEU films because it's really lighthearted and funny. That's the biggest thing, that this movie is actually really funny. It feels, it's really small scale. Like, it actually feels just like we're the people of the DC universe, and we just see all these people like Batman, Superman flying around being gods. Then you just have this small scale story about family set in Philadelphia. They do a really good job of showing the dynamic between this foster family and Billy learning to accept them. The villain is really goofy and over the top, but that's on purpose, and that's what makes him so funny. It's so easy to laugh at things in this movie, and Zachary Levi does a really good performance as Shazam. It's really good. The film is great to watch with friends or with family because at first it's a comedy. It's a comedy movie first, and then a DC movie second. It's really good that the DC people thought they needed to shake it up a bit, and Shazam was a really good byproduct of that. Shazam's really good, and I hope they do more stuff like Shazam in the future. Kicking off my top 5 is the BVS theatrical release. Now, theatrical release is still pretty decent, but because so much of it is shaved off, it leaves you wondering how a lot of things end up happening. Like, it makes you, like, it leaves so many things, like, just like, oh, don't worry about this, oh, don't worry, this happened. And the ultimate edition adds those scenes that give the scenes that previously didn't make sense content. BVS theatrical, it's still really good. Yeah, it still has great performances from Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and Lex Luthor all around. The movie is still pretty good, but because so much of it is shaved off because they didn't want it to make it too long or whatever the reason was, it does suffer from scenes feeling like out of place or feeling like there should be more when there's not. But it's still really good. If I want to watch BVS, sometimes I'll put on theatrical if I don't want to sit through the very long BVS Ultimate Edition. At my number 4 spot, I have the original Wonder Woman. This movie is amazing. This movie redefined a Wonder Woman. They made it less of like this superhero that's only for girls and whatever, and they actually made her into a heavy metal rock dark superhero. Not dark, but I mean gritty. They put her in this gritty war movie with this epic rock theme, and it really just shows that Wonder Woman, no, she's not just a girl hero. Boys can like Wonder Woman too. Wonder Woman is really cool because it's really unique, like I said, for DC, because it's like a war movie. It's not World War One, 19 in the 1918s, pretty much, and you just have Diana going around, and it creates a nice thought in your head, like, is Ares actually controlling these people? Is it a result of free will? And the movie gives you that question to think about. You have a pretty good cast. Ares casting is a little weird, but for the most part, the cast is really good. I really like Diana in this movie.
It, this movie just propelled Wonder Woman to one of my favorite DC heroes of all time because the movie is really good. They built off of her character, which was already amazing in BVS. Then they just created a whole movie that's awesome too. They gave an awesome character that was debuted in an awesome movie, her own awesome movie. I really love Wonder Woman. Now, at my top three, at the very bottom of the top three, it's going to Man of Steel. Man of Steel, like I said for Wonder Woman, this movie redefined Superman. They made Superman from this campy character, and they made him to a relatable alien. Like, he's this alien from a planet light years away from Earth, but you can still relate to his struggles and the thing he deals with as a kid growing up in America. Henry Cavill, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. He is perfect casting for Superman. He is the greatest portrayal of Superman, and the way this movie is shot and directed, it's so beautiful. The scenes are beautiful. The action scenes are great. There's barely any slow mo in this movie, and that could have been a cop out. Every time the Kryptonian was super fast, they could have used slow mo to make the impact seem more cooler, cinematic. But no, because of the fact that they speed up rather than slow down, it really shows the power of these godlike figures. Zod is an amazing villain. You have a great cast. It's just the whole thing is really great. It's a really great portrayal of Superman. And they didn't make it edgy Superman. They just made it a more dark and mature Superman. Man of Steel is one of the best DC movies of all time, one of my most favorite superhero movies of all time, and it just leaves me wondering, how has the sequel for this movie not come out already? DC needs to hurry up on that. Now, the next two movies, it was really hard for me to decide which one goes above the other, and actually, they're really interchangeable, so don't worry about the number, but at my number two, I have Zack Snyder's Justice League. And what can I say, man? Like, this movie was pretty much everything we were waiting for. To just rewrite Joss's Justice League. Everything that was did bad in this movie, and I mean in that movie, is done good now. You get 4 hours of just content, and you get 4 hours of just story, action, just world building. This movie is really what DC needed when the original Justice League came out. Because if you think about it chronologically, this is not chronologically, but in terms of if this was the original Justice League, this is their third or fourth DC movie. I think it's fourth. But this is what they really needed because you need to introduce Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. You need to introduce Darkseid, Steppenwolf, so many characters, Martian Manhunter. And because of this movie taking 4 hours, it really does get that. There's really little for me to say that is bad about this movie. And I'd really say that mainly it's just like the biggest problem that comes to mind right now is just the score in certain aspects. And like if one of the only bad things that comes to mind is the score, you know this is a pretty darn good movie. I'm so happy that Zack finally gets his to release his movie and just completely overshadow Joss's Justice League and just prove to the studio that sometimes just let the man make his movie. Let the director make his movie and you'll get a good turnout. I'm so happy that this movie finally came out and I'm so satisfied with Justice League now. It's so amazing, but that's why it's at number two. Let's get into the number one. Now, at the number one spot, you can all guess what it is. It is the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. But like I said, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, these two could really go back and forth with being number one or two. It's just really how I'm feeling that day. But BVS, this movie is perfect. It's so amazing. I have actually nothing bad to say about this movie. This movie is just it's pretty much like Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie, which I consider is to be the best Batman Ben Affleck forever. But this movie is so good. You get all your the main problem with BVS theatrical is that the scenes fell out of place, and it feels like they didn't have enough time to explain everything they wanted to, or to have as much things in the movie as they wanted to. Because you get that extended time with the Ultimate Edition, it really does make the movie feel more complete and whole. This film is really dark, but it feels like a gritty DC Snyder movie. This movie is really good. You get enough time with Superman, and you get enough time to introduce an entirely new Batman, which is what BVS needed. You can't just drop in this new Batman without any explanation. But BVS Ultimate Edition, that's what it does. It gives context to scenes. It makes it so it's a clear story. It's thought provoking. BVS Ultimate Edition is one of the best superhero movies ever made, and in my opinion, one of the best Batman movies ever made. BVS Ultimate Edition is amazing, just like Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I think I had to put this one over it. BVS is really, really amazing. I'll say that to the day I'm gone. Alright, well, that was my DCEU ranking with the Snyder Cut included. Please let me know down in the comments what's your ranking or what you thought of my ranking. Thought it was good. Which movies do you like that may not be so high? But please remember, just be respectful. It's just my opinion. I like all of these movies. It's just I like some of them a little bit more, except for you, Aquaman. Aquaman's not that good. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys so much, and don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you did like the content and you would like to see more. I'll see you guys with the next video.